Imagine if you had the self-control to eat just one scoop of ice cream, feel satisfied, and effortlessly save the rest for later. If this sounds impossible to you, then you specifically are gonna get a lot out of this video. Hi, my name is Mandy. I'm a registered dietitian, and by the end of this video, you are going to learn the one puzzle piece that you're missing that is gonna help you stop overeating. I'm gonna share 4 powerful strategies that you can start doing right now to enjoy food without overeating, along with a fail-proof and really powerful 15-minute method that's gonna help you put all of this into practice. If you stick around until the end, I'm gonna share how you can get access to this free downloadable guide that's gonna help you stop overeating. I want you to picture this. So you have 2 friends and both of them love desserts. They're both offered a slice of decadent chocolate cake, and person A takes a few bites of the chocolate cake, feels satisfied, and just puts it away in a little container, puts it in the fridge, and saves it for later. Whereas person B is gonna eat the entire slice of cake even though they're already full, and they're already thinking about that second slice before they even finish the first. So why is it that person A can just have a few bites and stop effortlessly, whereas person B feels like it's impossible to stop eating and feels like they need a lot of willpower in order to stop? It's not that person B loves cake more than person A, and it's not that person A has more willpower than person B. Both of them love cake just as much as the other person, and both of them have the same amount of willpower. The difference comes down to their source of motivation. If you're watching this, you're probably more like person B. And so by the end of this video, my goal is to teach you how you can become more like person A. I want you to forget everything you've been told about willpower, because it's actually holding you back from enjoying food without overeating. The truth is, you don't need willpower at all. You just need to shift your motivation from external to internal. There's this research paper that beautifully explains this in depth, and I'm gonna link it down below. But basically they talk about how the key to making long-lasting changes is to have internally motivated behaviors. So let me first explain what I mean by internal and external motivation. So someone who is externally motivated is motivated by things that are outside of them. So for example, someone who wants to eat healthy, who is driven by external motivation, would want to eat healthy only because they want to lose weight to get approval from other people, because that's what they think they need to do in order to be happier or to feel like they can love themselves more. So they're driven by something that's outside of them. It's like other pressures. Maybe they have other family members commenting on their bodies. Maybe they have other friends who are bullying them because of their size. Where someone who wants to eat healthy but is driven by internal motivation just eats healthy because that's who they are. They do it because they genuinely enjoy eating healthy, and they just value their health so much that that's what they're gonna prioritize over everything else. When you have internal motivation, you have good core values, and that causes you to just naturally act in alignment with who you believe yourself to be. That's why person A doesn't need any willpower or effort to stop eating, because they've managed to convince themselves that they are the kind of person who just easily does that. They've managed to convince themselves that they just enjoy feeling good in their body, and they would rather eat so that they're satisfied and not until they're uncomfortably full. Whereas person B is gonna have that disconnect between what they want to do and who they believe themselves to be, because they don't yet think that they are the kind of person who can just easily stop eating after a few bites. So when person B tries to stop eating after a few bites, it actually creates this internal conflict where they feel like they're not being true to their authentic selves. So the goal is not for you to have more willpower or for you to force yourself to stop eating after a few bites. The goal is for you to shift your motivation from external to internal, because that's when you're really gonna see a sustainable change. The easiest way for you to go from external to internal motivation is for you to shift your identity. This is the most important thing that you can do, because when you shift identity, everything else becomes so much easier. The first thing you're gonna have to do is to stop telling yourself these negative things. Stop telling yourself that you love food too much and that you just can't stop eating. Stop telling yourself that you need to have dessert after every meal. Stop telling yourself that weight loss is impossible for you and that there's something wrong with you. When you tell yourself all of these things, you are only solidifying that identity of yourself in your head that doesn't feel like they're capable of achieving their health goals. When you get these negative thoughts about yourself, you're not just gonna let it slide, but catch it and decide that you're not going to choose to believe in that thought. Because one thing that I realized recently is that we can choose to believe in what we want to believe. If you want me to go more into identity shifting, then comment down below because I can make so many more videos on that. Now let me get into the practical stuff. Here are the 4 exact steps you can take to start shifting your identity to go from external motivation to internal motivation. And don't worry, I'm also going to tell you what that 15-minute method is. The first thing I want you to do is to create 2 different lists on your phone. So one list is going to be a wins list and the other list is going to be a lessons list. And what I want you to do is whenever you do something that you're proud of that specifically relates to your eating, so it can be as simple as something like eating without distractions, that can go onto your wins list. It can also be something like I didn't let myself get uncomfortably full this time, or it can be something like I could have went for a second helping but I didn't, or it can also be something like instead of trying to force myself to finish all my food, I saved the rest for a later time, or I got a to-go box for it. But I want you to write down all of these wins no matter how small, because what this is going to do is it's going to reaffirm that new identity of yourself that you want to become. And for the second list, that's called lessons. These are going to be like for the slip-ups. So for example, if you ate a second slice of cake even though you know you didn't need it, but instead of writing down what you did wrong, I want you to write down what you can learn from this. So for example, if you ate a second slice of cake even though you didn't need to, your lesson could be I'm going to be more mindful when I'm eating next time. And it's so important for you to not dwell on the things that went wrong so that you're not gonna feel guilty and feel bad about yourself or like beat yourself up, because when you do that, you're actually just gonna reinforce that old identity of yourself. So instead, focus on what you can take away from that experience, you know, because everyone's gonna make mistakes. Even I do it. Even I have my own wins and lessons list, because even as a dietitian, I make some slip-ups sometimes, you know, I overeat sometimes, but instead of making myself feel bad for those things, I just try to think of what I can learn from it, write it down, and just move on. And the second thing you can do is to figure out what your personal triggers are, because when we overeat, 9 out of 10 times it's not going to be because of physical hunger, but it's going to be because of non-physical hunger. If you don't know what the difference is, then watch this video right here where I explain more of that. So for example, if you're the kind of person who always likes to eat a dessert after every meal, even if you're already full, then that's not physical hunger. That's a non-physical hunger that it's a habit you've already developed and used to. So you need to recognize what those are for you, because I also used to feel like I had to have something sweet after every dinner. But once I realized that the urge to do it was just because it's a habit that I've developed after so many years, that I could actually just break this habit and no longer eat for no reason, then that's when I really started to change. Another thing that I realized for myself was that I got the desire to eat whenever I got stressed or whenever I got frustrated at something, because it was like I immediately craved that comfort from food whenever I was in a bad situation. So recognize what your personal triggers are. Maybe you want to eat more when you're bored, maybe you want to eat more when you get upset or angry. You know, everyone is different, so figure out what it is for you. And the third strategy I have for you is to pair that indulgent thing with some protein and fiber. I love to do this because it makes you feel so much more satiated. Like when you have protein and fiber with something sweet, it literally increases the satisfaction hormone in your brain so that you're not as likely to overeat on it. So instead of having the slice of cake on its own, pair it with some yogurt and fruit, for example. This is going to physiologically make you feel more satisfied. And the fourth tip that I have for you is to practice mindful eating. This is so important, and this is one of the key things that person A has the identity of. Person A is the kind of person who eats mindfully, okay? Whenever you're about to eat something really yummy, instead of eating really quickly and just constantly thinking about that next bite, I want you to slow down, practice gratitude for what you are about to eat, and whilst you're eating, really pay attention to the smell, the shape, the texture, how it feels on your mouth, how it tastes on your tongue, every single thing about the food. Really use all of your senses. Okay, maybe not your ears, because unless you're eating something that makes a noise, that's not gonna work, right? But you know, try to use 4 out of 5 of your senses to really pay attention to that food so that you're eating mindfully. What this is going to do is it's going to increase the satisfaction factor whilst you're eating that food, so that you're not looking for that next slice of cake to give you that satisfaction. Because when you're constantly looking to the next thing and you're looking for more, you're not going to be satisfied with what you already have. I know we're getting deep right now. This doesn't just apply to food, but like for everything in life. And now for the thing you've all been waiting for, the 15-minute method that has helped me so much to love food and not overeat. This can be broken down into 3 simple steps. So whenever you get the urge to eat something, or you get a craving, you're gonna set a 15-minute timer. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is to remove yourself from that food. Remove yourself from the environment. So let's say you're in the dining room and you have that cake on your table. You're gonna remove yourself from the dining room. So go anywhere else, like your room, go outside, whatever. And James Clear talks about how powerful this is in his book Atomic Habits, because when you remove yourself from the environment, it sends signals to your brain that actually you no longer need to seek that thing. If you eat in the dining room, your brain is gonna associate the dining room with food. So what you want to do is separate yourself from that. But if you are someone who likes to eat in your room, maybe go outside. And step number 3 is to reevaluate. So once the 15-minute timer is up, you're going to reevaluate whether or not you still want to eat the food. And the thing about this is that it's completely okay if you still want to have it, okay? If you want to have it, you're still craving it, allow yourself to have it and implement all of those other things that I just talked about. Eating mindfully and writing down in your wins and lessons note, like do all of those things, because it's okay if you want to eat something, okay? Like I said, the goal is not for you to like have more willpower or force yourself to eat less. The goal for you is to just change your motivation from external to internal. And this is one of the things that's gonna help you do that by training your brain to pause for 15 minutes, to separate yourself from the environment and to reevaluate. Because person A, who has that internal motivation, is the kind of person who allow themselves some space and time to reevaluate so that they can actually make a more rational decision on whether or not they want to eat. So if you want to eat, then go ahead and eat it mindfully and be grateful for it, and don't make yourself feel guilty for it. This 15-minute method is so powerful because it's actually training yourself to stop before you immediately give in to some instant gratification. I've done this for myself too, and initially I would just set the timer and just be like, oh my god, I need the timer to be over right now so that I can just eat the food. But then once I started to do it more and more, I got to a point where I just set the 15-minute timer and I completely forgot about it. And so by the time the timer went off, I was like, oh, I don't even need to have that food anymore. And I'm like so glad that I didn't just immediately give in to that urge to eat. So thank you for watching to this part of the video. I have a free resource for you. It's my free mindful eating guide. It goes over some of the key principles I've talked about in this video, like how to actually eat mindfully, what are the steps for you to do before eating, during eating, and after eating. Remember how I talked about there's physical and non-physical hunger? There's a page where it's like a list of all the different things that can trigger you to want to eat. So I cannot wait for you to use it, and let me know if you want more free resources like this. If you're really serious about having healthier eating habits, then you're gonna want to check out my video on the 5 proven strategies to stop stress eating forever. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in that video. Bye!